Welcome to the Cardinal News of Virginia, a podcast from Cardinal News. We are a nonprofit news outlet covering Southwest and Southside Virginia at cardinalnews.org. The Cardinal podcast is sponsored by 5 Points Creative, a full-service, award-winning marketing firm serving clients all over the U.S. from their headquarters in Roanoke, Virginia. My name is Dutchie Jessee, and today I'm with Samantha Verrelli, who is our Roanoke-based reporter for Cardinal. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, and thank you for coming today. We're going to be talking about Roanoke City government. We've got a new city manager in Roanoke and some new city council members as well. It's got a whole new vibe to everything here in Roanoke City. So first, let's talk about Roanoke City's new city manager, ValMarie Turner. I believe they introduced her in December of 2024, so not that long ago. Why was the city even looking for a new city manager, though?
Yeah, so over the summer, Bob Cowell, who was the former city manager, resigned fairly abruptly. There were a lot of rumors of a toxic work environment in the city, and the Roanoke Rambler had reported that he had demoted an assistant city manager, Brent Robertson. And that's pretty much the story on that. His resignation left an empty spot that we needed to hire.
Okay, so we have a new city manager, ValMarie Turner. Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, so she, this is her first position as a city manager. Recently, she was deputy city manager in Fairfax, Virginia, and before that, she worked in Loudoun County. So she has a lot of experience in housing and housing affordability. She's worked in local governments in Georgia and in Florida. So she's got a lot of experience for the position.
Okay, first city manager post, you mentioned she's coming to us from Fairfax and Loudoun. So compare Roanoke City to Fairfax and Loudoun in terms of size and all that. I know Fairfax up in Northern Virginia, obviously, but let's talk about that a little.
Yeah, so she's come from places that are quite bigger than Roanoke and quite smaller. So Fairfax is about a quarter the size of Roanoke, population-wise. And Fairfax is 4 times bigger than Roanoke. So she's got experience with kind of a smaller locality and a bigger locality, though both of those were up in Northern Virginia by D.C. Fairfax and Loudoun County do have quite a higher median household income than Roanoke. So that's something to take into account, that the places she served before tend to be wealthier than Roanoke is. But she seems to have a wide variety of experience in the locality she's worked.
When she was presented at this press conference back in December, the city was kind of introducing her to everyone. I know you were there at that event. What did she speak to why Roanoke caught her eye, or how she ended up here for herself?
Yeah, she spoke a lot to the charm of Roanoke and the culture of Roanoke. I had a recent interview with Joe Cobb, who's now the mayor, and something that stuck out to me that he said was that it was like she already had lived here and already knew Roanoke so well. And she just seemed to love the city even before she got here. She had really seemed to do her research. She just seemed to love the charm.
Okay, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
What is on her resume that she did? You mentioned she has some experience with housing. First of all, why would that be of import to Roanoke City? What's going on with Roanoke City housing right now?
Yeah, so this was a big issue in council elections this year, but there is a deficit of housing availability in the city. We've got a homelessness problem that kind of coincides with that, but basically the city is trying to figure out how we can increase our available housing for people, whether that be higher income housing, lower income housing, or kind of that missing middle that the city talks about a lot, which is going to be your townhouses, that kind of thing. Back over the summer, there was a citywide rezoning that was pretty controversial. Most of the new council members were opposed to it. Mayor Joe Cobb was very much for that rezoning, but what that did was eliminated only being able to have single-family homes in certain neighborhoods in the city. So that was in an effort to kind of try to increase our housing stock.
So single-family home being a single-family home versus a duplex,
yeah,
and other group housing,
multiple
like that.
Units within one lot.
Okay. So what specifically, if you know, did city officials, laud her for in terms of her being a good fit here with regards to housing or any other issues that stuck out?
She's had a lot of experience with, she's led departments that worked on housing affordability and homelessness. She's led departments that worked on family services. She's led departments that worked on crime. So she really just has a well-rounded experience of the same kinds of issues we're dealing with in Roanoke. When she was introduced, I had asked her, how do you expect the issues you've dealt with in Fairfax and in Loudoun to differ from what you've dealt with in Roanoke? And she said, I don't expect them to differ at all. Like, the city's issues are issues I've faced in other cities and counties before, and she really expected a lot of overlap with the kinds of things she'd be dealing with.
Still, you referenced the difference in, I guess, median incomes for Roanoke City versus a Fairfax and a Loudoun. Yeah. Did she reference that at all?
She did not. I would assume that it would be kind of the same types of issues, but maybe at a greater volume in Roanoke or more severe than what she's used to. But yeah.
Did anyone at this press conference, and these are press conferences, so it's going to be a positive vibe all the way around, but did any of Roanoke City's current leaders, as they were introducing her and surrounding her, I'm assuming, laud anything in particular as far as a specific accomplishment to point to from Fairfax or Loudoun that, that they said really, sealed the deal as far as looking at her?
Something that Joe Cobb had mentioned was, and this wasn't during her introduction, this was in an interview I had with him, but a really good way of connecting the nonprofit sector and the business sector, which is really something that I know Roanoke City officials prioritize. Joe Cobb is always talking about how important our nonprofit sector is, especially for providing services to people who need it downtown. So he said she's done it time and time and time again, place after place. So I know that was something that was talked about a lot.
Now, I don't think at the time of our recording this that you've had a chance yet to sit down with her one-on-one for some sort of comprehensive. And I know a city manager is going to stay busy, especially when they're new on the job. But did she lay out any priorities as she was being introduced to the city?
Yeah, so that was something that was asked during her introduction press conference. And first thing she said was the budget. She didn't go into a whole lot of detail, but she wants to take a look at the budget where we can kind of maximize efficiency there. Another thing she touched on a lot was building relationships, both with people in the city and residents of her new home. But she definitely had a lot of a big want to get to know people that she was going to be working with in the city and build relationships with them.
As someone who is covering Roanoke City, and you've been to several council meetings, of course, and I should say you are relatively new in this area because we hired you at Cardinal last summer. Did you start in June, maybe?
Yeah.
And you moved here from another area, so you're new to the city as well, too. But from what you've covered so far, maybe including the council elections and some of the issues that came up with that, was there something maybe she didn't reference that no one wanted to talk about out loud at a press conference that you feel like is going to be on her radar pretty soon, or something that you feel like is going to come up pretty quick that she's going to have to deal with?
I feel like she had a really well-rounded answer. The thing I will say is I'm curious to see how she views community engagement, how she wants to engage with residents. I know she's going to be super busy coming here trying to meet all the city employees, but she did say that she wants to meet residents too. So I'd be really curious as to what her community engagement is going to look like. And I guess that's something that she didn't talk about a whole lot, where some council members really made that a big part of their campaign during election season, was that the city needs more community engagement.
So as we reference Roanoke City Council, we do have a new council, several new members. We have a new mayor. Let's talk about that a little bit. Joe Cobb has been vice mayor, and he's been on council for a number of years, and now he's the mayor. What are some of the firsts we're looking at with our Roanoke City Council, including the mayor?
There are a lot of firsts. So Joe Cobb is the first openly gay mayor in the city of Roanoke. Faison Nash was elected for a city council seat, and he is the youngest to ever sit on Roanoke City Council. He's 25. Let's see. ValMarie Turner, the new city manager, is the first Black city manager in the city. And Nick Hagan, who just was selected for a council seat, is the first Republican to serve on Roanoke City Council in over 20 years. The last to be elected was Ralph Barrier in 2020. So it's been a fully Democratic
Ralph
council.
Smith.
Ralph Smith, thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, so that's good. With Roanoke City Council and Joe Cobb, like I said, he's been on council for a while now, but Faison Nash, have you talked to him about, because I remember we had a series of city council candidate forums in all kinds of locations that Cardinal News covers, including Roanoke City. And so we got to meet these candidates. But as someone who covered the elections a little more thoroughly, and you covered the recount of the mayoral election as well, what are you hearing from some of the new people you just referenced in terms of goals, objectives? I mean, it's 25 years old is young for city council.
I have enjoyed every conversation I've had with Faison Nash. I think he brings a different perspective because he's so young. I mean, I'm near his age as well, but I know he really wants to work on after-school programming, that kind of thing. I mean, he knows the city. He's a third-generation Roanoker, so he's definitely done his time here. Something that stuck out to me with Nick Hagan was he was very strongly opposed to the rezoning reform, and not only the substance of it, but he felt that a lot of residents didn't really know what was going on during it. So community engagement and transparency is something that he was really pushing during his campaign. And then Joe Cobb stayed steadfast with supporting the rezoning throughout his entire campaign. Oh my goodness. So that's kind of where those issues fell with the election.
What's the vibe at city council meetings these days?
Friendly, I think. That was something I noticed. I mean, my first couple city council meetings here were friendly. Former Mayor Sherman Lee pointed to me at the back of the room and was like, "I don't know who you are," the first time I came in.
That's so great.
I think, yeah, it's never really too much an intimidating environment in there. It seems like everyone gets along. But, of course, that's in front of the public, so you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. How do you like covering Roanoke City? Did you come from Pennsylvania?
Mm-hmm. I came from Philadelphia.
Okay. Bigger city.
Yeah, way bigger city.
Yeah.
Way different dynamic, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people in Roanoke are generally kinder than in Philadelphia. But no, I really like covering the city. I think it's interesting how diverse our council is. I mean, we have 3 openly gay men out of 7, or soon to be 7, sitting on the council, which I think is great. And Faison Nash is a black man. We had Trish White Boyd recently on the council. It's more diverse than you would see in a lot of local government in other parts of the state.
What are the issues that continue to come up? Is it the housing thing? Is that really the biggest thing right now going on with the city?
Yeah, housing is definitely huge right now. I mean, some of these public hearings that were going on before the election, so the rezoning came in 2 parts. It went through, and then they had to do it again because of some lawsuits that had come up. And in both of those, any public hearings that were had, there were like in the 20s number of people coming to speak on those issues. The hearings were hours long. Like, a lot of people were really had a lot to say about that.
So what were they saying? Pros, cons, and everything. Like, what are the challenges? What, the day-to-day things that people were arguing for or against?
Derelict properties was something that came up a lot. Even with some of the people on council, I know Terry McGuire has said that he would like to see some of these derelict properties in the city addressed. But some people were saying we don't need to rezone if we've got all these derelict properties, that if we fix them up would create more housing. Some of these folks living in the single-family neighborhoods were like, I've been in this home for 30-plus years. I don't want my house value to change if a big apartment complex comes in next door. So a lot of fear about what the possibilities are of this, but it's really not... I mean, Chris Chittum had gone through the numbers when he was within the planning department. He has since resigned, but the expected changes from that are not that great. They're not huge. So it was a lot of fear about the unexpected.
Are the problems with housing, the shortages, and then this problem of derelict properties, are they located pretty evenly throughout Roanoke City, or is it concentrated in more one area than another, where you have more shortages because of derelict properties or just more people than we have houses for?
There's just more people than we have houses for. And another thing I've heard anecdotally is that a lot of people want to move to Roanoke and they can't find an apartment, or they can't find something affordable that would match their needs. A lot of people are hoping that their kids can move in near them once they move out, or that their grandparents can move in towards them. And that's where like ADUs, accessible dwelling units, come in. And there's just a lot more possibilities when it's not restricted to single family homes, but people are worried about their house values and that kind of thing.
Well, whatever's going on, Samantha Verrelli will be covering it for us, Roanoke City. She's a Roanoke area reporter for Cardinal News, so thank you, Sam. And if someone has a story idea for you or input or anything like that, how do they reach you? What's your email?
They can email me at samantha@cardinalnews.org. Anyone can also give me a call. My number's on the website.
Yeah, we post ways for people to get in touch with our reporters. So thank you very much, Samantha,
Thank
for
you.
the update. You've been listening to the Cardinal News of Virginia. And we want to thank our sponsor, 5 Points Creative, and also Sherry Quinley and Zach Shelton for technical support. Get more news from us at cardinalnews.org. I'm Dutchie Jessee for Cardinal News.